Hey everybody, just tried to start the original Twitter Spaces and was failing miserably. So hopefully this one is working. Let's see. Let's get some speakers on, co-hosts, everybody. Hey Zensu, good morning. I just got you the co-host option turned on. How do I sound? Do you guys hear me? All right, looks like the messages are coming in, and it sounds good. Hey Zensu, unmute yourself. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so I'm trying something new. I'm trying to get the Twitter Spaces and YouTube working at the same time, so that we have both the phone and the camera and a bunch of microphones working. So this Twitter Spaces, unfortunately, we had to start a new one. The other one just did not want to start. Like it would just say try again later. Like literally, like I'm calling Verizon or AT&T. Try again later. So I had to start a different one. This Twitter Spaces is going to be all about XENTFs, what they're all about, and it's going to be, I would say, the AMA format. So people should feel free to ask absolutely anything in terms of what's happening, and why we're doing it, what we're doing, when is launch, what about the audit, future plans, pretty much everything like that. So I'm gonna get the people like literally turned on, and get everybody talking to us. So I have Pulse Dog, it looks like, coming in, so I'm gonna give them the microphone. There we go. And guys, feel free to raise your hand if you want to speak or ask questions about XenFTs or anything about Zen.
How's it going, Jack? Yeah, I'm just catching up on light paper.
Yeah, light paper has been posted.
An echo from your microphone, Jack.
Echo from my microphone. Are you sure it's from me? Because I only have one microphone turned on. Let me actually get my headphones on just to see if there's a difference.
Yep.
Testing. Everything seems to be fine. No echo. So Zensu, it could be you. You could be having YouTube turned on perhaps, and there's a delay. Maybe that's why there's an echo.
It's not you. It's me this time.
No echo. The people in the green room, they say no echo, so it's all is good. All right, we have 3 requests, so let's get those requests turned on. So a bunch of people came online. You have your microphones turned on. So I mean, you're now speakers. So feel free to go ahead and ask questions about XenFTs.
Hey, Jack, it's Josh here. First off, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's echoing. It was just kind of weird, but no. Hey, listen. I am just so.
Okay. So the question about the bridging of Zen between chains. So the way it's going to work, and I think it's actually works even now, is that there's sushi swap liquidity pools that allow you to bridge the tokens, Zen tokens specifically, over different chains. The way that works underneath is that those liquidity pools will sell your Zen for whatever the current quote Zen is being traded on, convert to a stable coin, transfer the stable coin over the system called Stargate, and then you will be able to receive it in the liquidity pool on the other side on Ethereum, and that will convert back to Zen. Now, the other people also had similar question, and they ask, will there ever be a parity, as in one-to-one relationship, for Zen on Binance and or other chains versus Ethereum? I don't think that's ever going to happen, because the way that the gas prices work and the way that the economic scale works on different chains is really, they're like different countries. And so them being different countries, having different population, different gas structure, will almost certainly require Zen to be priced differently. So even if you transfer back and forth, whether it's manual process or it's a process um, through some sort of automatic AMM or automatic market maker, it's always going to be something else and not one-to-one relationship.
On a specific chain, for example, ETH. My next question is it's kind of satire, but for the class of Zen NFTs that are not rare, Ruby is the first zero class. Why Ruby? That's supposed to be top of the class, man. Just kidding.
Uh, so that's on the classes of the NFTs, right?
Yeah, the Ruby's the lowest class, but Ruby's like Ruby, man. Like I feel like that's high class. It's just satire. I love it. I read the light paper. It was amazing. I love what's going on, but I just had a question. Just it was satire about Ruby being the lowest class. But yeah, all is well.
Okay, well, the reason why Ruby is the lowest class is because it's the lowest frequency color. So red on the rainbow is the lowest color, where indigo is the highest color. So it goes what, like red, yellow, and green, and actually it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue. So the higher you go up the rainbow, the higher frequency you have, and so that's why it's not the top. It's actually the bottom.
Ah, that's cool. All right, I like that. That's awesome.
I think it could be good to just make a quick orientation of what's going on right now with Zen. And it's that we just released a light paper on XENTFs, and specifically the first application of such, which is the Zen torrent. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to do many things that you couldn't do before. First, you're going to be able to batch mint many C ranks at once. This will allow you to make mining Zen much more efficient, much more easy to keep track of, and also much safer, because you can store all of those C ranks in basically one address, and you can do multiple batches on one address as well. And that's only the first thing. The second thing is that you can the waiting time. You claim your C rank and then you wait for the maturity date. This time, this economic energy that you're waiting for, it now allows you to unlock that and capture that into an NFT, and this can be instantly tradable. And you should try this on testnet in Telegram. You can find the links to do that in the pinned messages. That's just the first version. The mainnet version is going to be very different. So there's many things going into this, and this also allows us to go from the crypto market to the NFT market, which do overlap a bit, but they also have many different differences. So it's very exciting for a lot of different things. And we just released the light paper, which you can read. I don't know if you want to add something to that, just to get everybody on the same page overall where we are right now, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, super excited about the light paper. Actually, generally, I wouldn't be so excited about the technical documents at all. I'm all about getting things off the ground, but in this particular case, I think we felt that people really need to understand or get the thorough understanding of what they're getting into, like specifically. How do NFTs work? Why are they created? What will be the economic effect on the Zen in the market today? So, and that's very important to put on paper so that people actually figure it out. So what's really interesting about the ZenFT project is that it combines the utility for Zen with collectability for the NFTs themselves. So we're trying to attack, I guess, if that's the right word, at least two markets. So one market is the ERC20 market, where Zen is traded today, and then the next market is the ERC721, where NFT is going to be traded and collected. Now, the functionality and the utility of this NFT is obviously to do bulk minting. So if you do not care about collecting NFTs at all, you can just forget about it and use the ZenFT as a certificate of the future mint for your Zen. So, for example, you should be able to specify 100 to 128 VMUs, which is an equivalent of 100 to 128 wallet addresses, pay your gas, and collect your Zen in the future, and have the NFT be kind of like a redeemable certificate that will allow you to keep it in your wallet, and you can mint as many NFTs as you want. You can also give it as a gift to anyone else out there. So it kind of abstracts away and reduces the friction of people creating many wallets from the single MetaMask. So you can use your own MetaMask with your own single wallet address, and then mint as many NFTs as you want, and they'll just land as tokens in your wallet, and they will have all of the aspects of minting Zen in the future. And at the same time, you will be able to put them on OpenSea and trade them. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that we decided to obviously approach the collectible market as well, and so the NFTs have several categories. The first category, obviously, is the common or common NFT that's not rare at all. It's not collectible. It's just the functional NFT that I have just described. So anybody can use at least one VMU to start, which is one wallet address, or up to 128 on Ethereum. Now, the second class is limited. Now, limited NFTs are only available for people who are minting 100 VMUs plus and are doing it within the year from launch. So if we launch in, like, let's say 3 or 4 weeks, then the genesis or zenesis of those NFTs will expire exactly 12 months or 365 days from that period of the launch. The rare category of ZenFTs actually are even more interesting because they are limited to the number of 1 through 10,000. So up to 10,000 NFTs are collectible. You will only be able to get them if you burn your Zen. So you'll have to follow the schedule that we will also publish in the white paper, and that requires you to either mint Zen and then burn it to mint the NFT, or acquire Zens by some other way on Uniswap or anywhere else where you like, and then burn that Zen to actually get the rare and limited. So limited also require a burn of at least 1 million NFT, at least 1 million of Zen required to be burned. And when I say burned, it's very similar to what Yuga Lab has done with their ApeCoin, except in our case, the proof of burn mechanism really just takes the NFT, transfers it, or actually takes your Zen tokens or coins, transfers it from your wallet into the Zen contract, generates the proof of burn record within the blockchain. So it actually goes away completely. But then it also embeds a property on this NFT. So it becomes kind of like a certificate of burn. So like let's say that you have a billion Zen and you decided to get this to mint this very special, very rare NFT for yourself that becomes your collectible item. You can specify how much Zen you're burning, which is 1 billion, and that will become a property of the NFT that you will now own. And of course, 1 billion Zen currently, I think, is like $10,000. So it's like transferring the value of the existing Zen into the Zen NFT, and at the same time removing it from the market total supply, which should be extremely bullish for the Zen value, as a lot of Zen will end up being burned, and the Ether scan will actually report that the total supply is falling. So that's how it works operationally for the Zen NFTs and how to get the limited versions.
I got a
Right,
question.
and what's very interesting of that is that we're going from, since we are in the most inflationary state, we started with zero supply, and we are in the most inflationary state of this project. We're going from extreme abundance of supply increase to now introducing a new concept, which is rarity. So we're sort of going to the both extremes here when it comes to abundance and rarity. So it's very interesting, the mechanics and the dynamics and the game theory that this is involved with. Go ahead. Was it what Litecoin?
Yeah. So my question is there a world that exists where it actually costs you money to mint, say, like, let's say 100 transactions, and say like the price is lower than it would be to actually like be profitable for minting? Because as of right now, I think like if you were to mint, you would get say, like, I just seen a transaction today. It cost them like $1.60, I guess, both ways. So it's like $3, and they earned like 8. So currently, it's still profitable to mint. And I guess the question is, is there a world that exists where it's not profitable to mint anymore?
Yeah, so I would say really good question. And it really depends on the market conditions. For example, when the FTX fiasco was in progress, the gas prices went from 20 gwei to 600 gwei. And it actually made Zen Mint or the C rank claim to be worth $120. Compare that with $3 over the weekend versus $120. So what we saw on the Etherscan activity is that no one was minting Zen. So that actually made Zen deflationary, which is one of the cases which I would say that should the gas prices become really, 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 really high, that will push the Zen value on the open market higher just because it's now becoming super deflationary. Nobody wants to mint, or people still be able to mint, but for them to make any sort of profit on the secondary market, which is the ERC20 market, they would require to mint for a long time, like 300 to 400 days. That being the case, that also, well, I would say not only delays gratification, but it also does not allow the Zen supply to be issued earlier than what we saw, for example, in the beginning, where people are minting between 1 to 3 days and flooding the market with the newly minted Zen. And that, of course, depresses the value. Now, when we are out of the bear market, we're likely going to see a lot more activity on Ethereum. The gas price will go higher, and that will also drive the value of Zen higher too.
Okay, cool. And my last question I can think of is, I mentioned you were saying, like, with the exchanges, eventually they get diluted over time because there's more coins that come into circulation and this, that, and the other. a lot of people have been concerned about the exchanges lately because all the crazy stuff been going on, the hacks and all that stuff. And the thing I noticed is like the top two crypto holders of Zen are actually Huobi and Gate, which are like two exchanges that are kind of being put under the fire right now. They own like 25% of the supply just between those two exchanges of all of the Zen. I'm just trying to think how this is good for price.
Well, it's a good question. So, Hobby and Gate, they don't. I mean, you could argue that they own the supply, but the reality is that I'm sure it's their customers that have a lot of the supply who decided to move Zen to their exchange. So that's how that works. So I don't think it's them owning it. But of course, if they go under, then all of that supply will go under too. So I mean, it would be terrible if that happens. But if it does happen, well, that's another lesson for uh, I would say for decentralization. So in other words, you have to weigh your risks appropriately. Exchanges do have an important role to play. Like I was making a joke just the other day about Coinbase. Coinbase is pretty bad in terms of how it's designed and what it does. The only thing it does really well, it has an ability to connect to your bank and have your bank send the money to Coinbase and convert it to crypto and then send it back out. So that kind of works really well. Nothing else really works well at all. Like Coinbase is very, very slow. And potentially there is a lot of risk in holding your crypto on the exchanges because we all know not your keys, not your coins. And it's been proven over and over again that that's the case. However, I would say there are some also good actors that provide liquidity. So we want liquidity to be provided. So low liquidity, no matter what anybody says, is not a good thing because it forces the price or it doesn't allow the value to be stable for any crypto if there isn't enough people holding it or enough people trading it. So anybody with $5,000 can push the price here or there, and that it will cause all of the limit orders to be wiped out or stop orders to be executed, and then people lose their money. So, and that's because of low liquidity. So we want the liquidity to be higher, and if the exchanges are helping with the liquidity, then it is a good thing. But standard disclaimer applies. I mean, not your keys, not your coins. You're running a risk of an exchange closing down, and then you will lose everything potentially or not. I mean, like people say that Kraken.
Jack, can I rebut that?
Yeah, sure.
Can I add one more thing onto this before I forget? I just want to add like, so the main reason I think Hex became such a success, to be honest, is because it wasn't really on exchanges at all. Like it's still kind of it's on a few, but it's not on like nearly as many as it should be with how long it's been out. And it really did well on DeFi. I think that's honestly what made Hex such a success. So like when it came to releasing Zen, did you get like contacted by these exchanges and approve it, or did they just do it on their own? Like how does that work? Because I feel like we shouldn't be on centralized exchanges at all.
They didn't tell
price discovery a lot.
Yeah, they did not tell me anything. So the morning after the launch, I just got messages from them saying that they're listing us, and all I could do is verify that the contract looks proper. Like the address for the smart contract is what it is. But I didn't message them. They didn't message me earlier to ask for any sort of approval. They just went ahead and listed it. So it's kind of that's what actually what makes crypto so interesting. We're like in Chicago 1920s. Everybody does whatever they want to do, and we're just watching where the chips fall. So I mean, that's kind of like the world we live in.
Appreciate the transparency, Jack. Thanks.
Jack, just to rebut the requirement for centralized exchanges. If the centralized exchanges don't have their own token and they just keep the crypto and charge the fees, we wouldn't end up the way we have. At the same time, I think now is the time to teach people about DEXs. So even Zen, for example, you can freely trade it on DEXs. We don't really need any centralized exchange. The biggest problem, as far as I can see, is the on-off ramp. So the banks are connected to the SEX, and from the SEX, you withdraw it to your banks. If somehow we find the on and off ramp through DEXs or something, or a solution like that, I think with whatever is going today and yesterday and then a few days before, I think most of the issues have been, again, as much as I would like to hate to say it, but people need a way to take their crypto and take their fiat onto crypto and crypto to fiat. The issues is the reason why centralized exchanges have been murdering us is because they have the on and off ramp. So what are your thoughts on that? Thanks, Jack. Really appreciate what you're doing with Zen and everything. I've been day one minter, so thanks.
Yeah, thanks for being day one minter. Really, really exciting. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of questions, obviously, about exchanges currently dominating the space because of FTX. So FTX literally went from a white knight hero to a villain overnight. So it's very. I would say it would have been very exciting to watch if it wasn't for all the terrible things that are happening to people that held the money on that exchange. There's also rumors that Sam SBF is actually on his private plane on the way to Argentina. So if he's trying to hide, I mean, I actually don't know what to say. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I'm sure somebody is thinking about how to make a movie about this whole situation. Now, what's really interesting about this is when the market had this mini crash. So I think Ethereum went from 1500 to 1200 or maybe 1100. Zen actually went up. And I think one of the reasons Zen went up is because people who understand what Zen is, which is a community created crypto, nobody has the admin keys, nobody has pre-allocation. So it is completely opposite what FTT is, where FTT was like 60 or 70% of FTT was just printed out of thin air and held by FTX. So Zen in this community stands for decentralization and amplification of the Satoshi's first principles of what blockchain was meant to solve, which is effectively cutting out the middleman and giving the power to the little guy, and to have your economic energy somewhere where you have full control. And so those are the tenets of Zen and everything we do. And that is why I feel like we have had the price action being positive when everything was crashing. So Zen went from 4 zeros and one to at least 4 zeros and two, so it almost doubled. I have a screenshot of it somewhere else. And I think the reason why that happened is because it's actually held by the community. Like there is no one else who actually pushed the print button or pushed the mint button and made a bunch of Zen for themselves out of thin air and in dumping it onto the market or leveraging it somehow. So that's what makes it so different. But I would say exchange topic is definitely very interesting. But let's get back to ZenFTs, because I think a lot of people who are listening to really want to figure out what the
Yeah,
ZenFTs are all about.
just yeah. So just before we go to NFTs, just a quick comment, because really important what you said. As a day minter, I like literally maximum days. It was really interesting. Obviously, I think everyone did it, so I'm I'm okay to admit it here. Is I used multiple wallets, okay, and rather than strategizing that I'll mint for like 30 days, 60 days, whatever option I got, I minted that. So sometimes it was like 300 something days, sometimes it was like less than 300 days. I couldn't figure out why it automatically increased or decreased the number of days. So for me, it doesn't matter. I have every time I've just selected whatever the longest version was. Even sometimes I've added extra days other than a year. So I can't sell. so so I am I'm happy to hold. I'm just loving it. So yeah, now we can move to NFTs. And if you want to have one comment, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, for sure. I mean, I would say the biggest reward for anybody out there who are minting is having the maximum days, which means that, well, first of all, you only spend your money on gas. You're not buying Zen. You're not really participating in the market action. I mean, some people do. I have to admit, I bought a little bit of Zen, just a tiny amount, just to see how it works on Uniswap. And I also played with matcha.xyz, and I put some limit orders just to see how well it works. And but ultimately, people who mint for the longest amount of time end up winning because the time, the days is one of the major amplifiers for the Zen minting rewards. So I would say 415 days is a solid number to lock in all of the multipliers. Like specifically, we've only been alive for about a month, and the AMP amplifier is 2968, I think, at this point, or maybe 67. And that's a huge number to lock up for 400 days plus, because you cannot take back time. Like if you're coming back 2 years later to mint Zen, you're going to be making about 25% less Zen for the same amount of time. So you'll have to figure out how to pay more. Either you pay more gas, or you end up extending your time somehow, or you just end up buying Zen on the open market. So getting in early and minting for the longest time duration of time is probably the best idea. So let's take more questions about ZenFTs or anything else out there.
Josh, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I was curious about. I know it wasn't released on the light paper, but I did read it. I'm curious about how much Zen we're gonna have to burn in order to get one of those rare NFTs, because I'm kind of one of the people who I've also been, here since day one, and I really would like to get one of those 10,000 NFTs. So.
So we're still trying to decide, and we're soliciting feedback from the community in terms of what the total number or what is the number of Zen needs to be burned for the limited and the rare series of NFTs. So someone mentioned that the first 100 NFTs should burn at least 1 billion Zen, which will, if you multiply 1 billion by 100, that's 100 billion, which is 1/3 of the supply of Zen that exists on the market today. And somebody also proposed the schedule to burn off pretty much a year's supply, which is 3 trillion Zen. So 3 trillion Zen is what we see just on Dune Analytics. We see about 3 trillion Zen at the end of the year. So if we actually make the NFTs burn up most of that supply, that will actually make Zen very, very deflationary from the get-go by the utility of the NFT market. So that's very interesting. So we all know that Zen is very inflationary, very, very early at launch, from launch and for the first year. But introducing the proof of burn actually creates this opposite pressure on Zen, and therefore the value should be increasing. And of course, this is very Zen-like approach. And when I say Zen-like, I would say yin and yang, right? So on one hand, you're minting more Zen with ZenFTs because ZenFT requires you to mint more. So you can specify 128 VMUs and you will get a lot of Zen in the future. But for you to even activate that function and get the rare NFT, you actually need to burn a lot of Zen too. So burning Zen is like the yang portion of yin and yang, and the yin is making more Zen in the future. So it's two different forces working against each other, but actually creating value in the process. So that's very, very interesting concept, or at least to me, it is interesting.
Just to get everybody up to speed on this, with the Zen torrent, you can issue NFTs, and if you do so, you can choose your rarity, so to speak. You can get a common one, which doesn't really have any requirement. But if you want a limited one, you can only get a limited one within a year from launch, within 365 days. In order to get a limited, you have to choose 100 VMU or more. And the rare ones, you have to choose 100 VMUs and more, and you also need to burn some Zen, which you also need to do in limited. So you can see in the light paper that these rare limited, the rare and common also have different classes depending on the inputs you choose. Josh, no, we have 10 here instead of question.
Good evening, Mr. Jack. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
I will want to thank all of you, and especially Mr. Jack, what you have brought in this space. We needed this technology. Thank you very much for what you have brought in this space of crypto. With Zen is game changer, and I hope many projects will follow your step. My question is, I wanted to know what will happen after the term. That means if you have set, let's say, 1,000 days for minting term days, and after the 1,000 days you didn't claim the Zens, what will happen to the NFTs?
Zensu, why don't you take that question? I just feel like you need to be given voice too.
Sure. It's the same thing as the Zen torrent protocol interacts with the ERC20 Zen protocol. So what you're doing is basically you're batch minting a bunch of C ranks at once, and you're collecting them in a virtual wallet, which we call VMU, virtual minting unit. So when you do that, you also choose your maturity date, right? So you choose your maturity date and then you come back at this time. But if you don't claim at that time, normally you have penalties, and the same penalties apply. So if you are 1 day late, you're going to have a penalty, and this penalty is going to increase. So it's the same penalty that applies. And after 7 days, the penalty is 99%.
Okay,
so it's no difference there.
Okay, so somebody out there need to create a desk where we can stake our NFT at the maturity day for them to be able to claim it, and later we can take it from them in case we forget. It will be a very good idea.
You can like interesting thing to point out here, right? If let's say you choose 100 reviews, that means you're going to have to pay, the gas cost is going to be the same as you would have claimed 100 C ranks. There's no additional gas cost to this, but you're going to have to pay that gas when you claim. If you can't do that, well, you have another optionality here. You can still sell it on an NFT marketplace like OpenSea or Rarible. So
yes, what I mean is that, okay, I have paid the guys who made the Zen. Maybe after certain time I forget about it. I didn't remember to mint it, to claim my Zen with the Zen NFT. If there is a desk that I can stake my NFT there, when the maturity day come, those people they mint it, and anytime I can go there and claim my Zen over there, it will be good. If I was a good programmer, I would do something like this.
Sure. I mean, so what we're doing here, we're doing a bunch of things with this. We're unlocking the rating value. We're making that instantly tradable. We're doing batch minting. But once you have that more flexibility, there's a bunch of other things you can play with it. You can play with compostability and fractionalization of NFTs, etc., etc. So Yeah, the when you stake your SEM, there's also rating value in that, and that's something that might come later, doing something with NFTs already there. So NFTs is the umbrella name, and then the Zen Torrent protocol is the first implementation of this. So yeah, there's a lot of more things.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm sorry if I was boring. Sorry.
No, you're not boring. Great questions. Johnson, you have a question for Jack.
Looks like the owl of Athena.
Hello. I wanted to ask about the supply. So when after 8 years, little new tokens will be issued and the burn will go on instead. So what does it mean that Zen will become deflationary?
That's a good question. So the question was, what happens after 8 years and there's no more minting? What will happen is that minting will continue. It's just not going to be at the same rate, and definitely the laws that are encoded into Zen contract will continue to operate as we designed them. After 8 years, the biggest inflationary force will be staking. Staking will settle about 2%. And not everyone will be staking Zen. So I would say 2% of the people who stake will create more Zen, but everybody else who are not staking, obviously not going to make more Zen. So how it relates to NFTs and what will be the effect? So remember, the burnable or NFTs that require for you to burn Zen are the rare variety and the limited variety. The common NFTs do not require any sort of burn. So the standard rules of the ERC20 contract, the Zen contract, will apply. So the deflation will just be at its peak after 8 years or 300. I'm sorry, 3,000 days.
Thank you. And is it possible to distinguish between different classes of rare NFTs by some differences in graphics or only by numbers?
So it's actually it's currently in the white paper. So you can see that there's a difference between the rare, limited, and common. And of course, there's also going to be text uh, uh, explaining what each NFT is and how much Zen you have burned to get it. So that's actually the exciting part. So we expect to see NFTs to indicate, like for example, 1 billion Zen or 10 billion Zen burned. So 10 billion Zen at today's Zen price is actually $100,000. So that's a very expensive and very rare NFT. And perhaps people will do it. We just don't know. So we'll just let the market decide. But that's actually very, very interesting aspect, that the property of the burned Zen will be embedded permanently within the NFT itself.
Yes, I was asking about different classes in the rare class because there are 5. So will they be different each class by color or some other sign or only by number?
There's a lot of different things that go into this, the metadata on these NFTs. So the differences is of the different categories, but there's no plan, I think, to do it for the different classes as well.
Because I imagine that someone who burns 1 billion Zen wants to have something really special.
Yeah, it's gonna Yeah, you're going to be able to see it. You can see it in the white paper as well, how much has been burned for it. Also, since it's going to be on different chains, you will be able to see it, which chains it's on.
So I think the question was in the rare series, if somebody burns a gazillion Zen, will they get very special color? So this is obviously a question for design, and uh, we haven't really decided yet exactly how will it look like. And I think one of our developers just texted me because he's listening, and he said that we don't have anything special yet except the numbers of how much Zen you have burned, but perhaps we can add something interesting, like some sort of color variation that actually depicts the value that has been deposited into this NFT. And actually, the truth is that this is a true value transfer. So you generate Zen or you buy Zen on the open market, and then you transfer it from the um, ERC20 contract, which is the liquid Zen today. You transfer it to an ERC721, which is an NFT, but the economic energy is just being transferred. So it's like you're making a trade uh, with the market itself, and there's nobody else besides the contract that does the conversion. So it's like having a bunch of change in your pockets, and you're walking into a bank and exchanging your change for a pretty uh, certificate or some sort of a paper. Of course, I mean, we hate paper nowadays, and most of the world is moving away from, hopefully, from fiat too. But in this particular case, it's a digital certificate indicating how much Zen that you have had in your possession and that you have burned or really just loaded up into an NFT. So that's the way I see it.
And how rare are these NFTs on different chains? Because it's much more easier to burn 1 billion Zen on Doge chain rather than on Ethereum. So I was wondering if there may be the need to burn instead 10 billions.
Well, I think the way that we're designing this is we certainly have an option to adjust the numbers and to make the numbers look different on different chains. And just like with the launch of Zen, we will launch on Ethereum first, see what happens, and then adjust accordingly. So because we know that the market's so diverse and the economic energies have to be somewhat different. It's actually a very good point because on Doge we have, I think we're like approaching some really huge number. Doge is a leading Zen creator at this point, and then the third one is Polygon, and then I think it's Phantom. And so for those markets, we're just going to have to adjust accordingly to make it somewhat balanced. It's kind of like really like a game. So it's a game that people can play by using Zen. So that's the uh, one of the early ways of the utility creation for Zen. And of course, we also had this conversation just a few days ago with the popcorn guys. They're using Zen for to stake and to receive pop, which is also kind of like a gamification of Zen, but you're actually receiving a different token as a yield, which is quite interesting.
And also, there are many people who don't like this. In general, they don't like this creation and after burn of the coins. So because it influences too much the price. So what do you have to say about it? There are too many, how to say, sudden fluctuations.
What you're saying is that there are too many variables, and when it comes to all of those variables, we're just going to have to see and adjust accordingly. I mean, certainly burning Zen is interesting because it reduces the supply. We kind of want the burn to occur faster in the short term, but in the long term, we want the abundance of Zen too. So we want Zen to be in everybody's hands, so to speak, or everybody's wallets. So we don't want it to be completely burned. So we're definitely what we're doing with these NFTs, we're delaying the mint. So we're encouraging the mint. I think the mint will accelerate maybe 100 times. So likely the gas prices on Ethereum will skyrocket, but at the same time, a lot of Zen will be burned up just to get those NFTs.
Thank you.
Do you have Johnson or Cygnus? You have a question, or Dennison?
Yeah, I just got a quick question for clarity in this light paper about the limited edition NFTs. It says they're limited to an issuance of 365 days. Now, the way I understand it is they're only going to be available for 365 days. So, for example, if I were to create an NFT on, halfway through, 180 days after launch, does that NFT have a term length of only another 180 days, or will it be 365 days from issuance?
365
Does that make sense?
So let's see if I can answer this question. So I would say that there's the rare class and then there's the limited class. So the limited class just runs for 365 days, which means that if you're coming back in the middle of the year, you still have plenty of time to mint as many NFTs as you want. It will require some burn, probably at least 1 million of Zen to be burned, but the mostly it's not restricted by count. It's just restricted by time. So you can make 1 or you can make 10 or you can make 1 million NFTs. Nobody will stop you. As long as you have enough Zen and you have enough money for gas, you can certainly continue to do so. So in that particular case, unlike other situations where NFTs are just limited, there's like a series of 5,000, 10,000, 50,000. In this case, they're unlimited because they're very functional, but they're limited by 365 days. And then after 365 days, we basically only have left the common NFTs. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot get a common NFT within the 365-day period. Anything that's under 100 VMUs and anything that you do not burn Zen for gets the common NFT. So that is not restricted in any way. So you can get any number of common as well.
Right. That's understood. Question. I'll try to rephrase it. Let's say these NFTs are only going to be available for 365 days, correct? Okay. Now let's say I choose to mint one of those limited NFTs on day 364. Will I be able to choose a term length of, say, 400 days, or will the term length actually just be limited to that last day?
You'll be able to choose whatever the possible maturity date is at that time.
Okay,
great.
great.
Issuance of one of these limited. You will have a window of 1 year to issue one of these limited series. Then after 1 year, you can't do it. But during this year, when you issue it, you can interact with the protocol and issue one. And in doing so, you then choose the reviews and you choose the maturity date and so on. And also the...
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to come back to that question real quick, and I think I understand it. So there's no restriction on the VMUs or the term in days, even though there's the 365 days only limited for the NFTs themselves, not the amount of the term that you specify. So, all right, let's take another question.
Yeah, I'm curious, do you see the value of the NFT possibly being higher than the value of the Zen that's burned?
That's
So, for instance, yeah.
I absolutely do see the NFTs being higher valued just because, well, I mean, they're rare, so the rarity could actually carry a lot of value. And also, like, if you think about it, 128 VMUs at 400 days term limit will mint a lot of Zen for you in the future. So the loaded Zen or the burned Zen is obviously one form of the economic energy transferred from the ERC20 to ERC721. But the future Zen mintable from the NFT is actually looks like a yield. So it's you create the NFT, but then the NFT will create more Zen for you. So it's possible that you will make a very rare NFT that runs or that mints Zen for 450 days. And then after 200 days, you just decided to sell it, would decide to sell it. And you can get double or triple the value just knowing that the Zen value on the open market is much higher because for whatever the economic reasons it is. And it will actually make your NFT that has the future mint much more valuable. And of course, the amount of burns and it does not disappear. It disappears from the supply number on the Etherscan, but it doesn't disappear in fact that you have owned it and you have executed an action of the burn. So it's kind of like transferred from ERC20 to ERC721 into the NFT form.
Excellent. Did you guys have this in development? Was this part of the idea of Zen when it was conceived, or is this a recent development?
It came to us in a dream. But truth to be told, we want Zen to be the currency and we want to develop an ecosystem for Zen, obviously. So ZenFTs is one of those ecosystem development examples that actually use Zen as the currency to generate some sort of other type of storage of economic energy that also has collectible values and gamification all built in. So we're hoping to encourage other teams to build something very similar. And of course, we always talked about NFTs even from the get-go. Like I remember when I was first introducing Zen, I was saying that there could be a proof of burn NFT that simply embeds Zen into itself. We just decided to combine it with the minting function too, so make it even more functional.
Excellent. What's next? What else?
Well, that would be the subject for the next Zen talk. We'll want to have a little bit of the mystery to maintain the curiosity out there.
Okay. Well, it's elegant and I love it.
Thank you. All right. What else, guys?
Yeah, Jack. Ethereum is planning to introduce this sharding as a multi-phase upgrade to improve Ethereum scalability capacity and also to lower down the cost of gas fees, right? And I believe this is planned for 2023, 2024 timeframe. And I wonder, once this sharding chains come online and the throughput of the Ethereum network increases while the gas fees are dropping down, what sort of dynamics for Zen are you envisioning will take place?
Probably something similar to what's happening on the inexpensive chains. So like Polygon, Phantom, Dogechain. Clearly, those chains are minting Zen like there's no tomorrow. But I would say we actually don't exactly know how will sharding affect the gas prices. There are just way too many variables to decide what will happen. What we do know, however, is that Zen will be a lot more deflationary when sharding will be launched. That's one. Two, likely the the network itself in the whole crypto space, maybe 5x, 10x in the total money supply by then. And so that actually will create pressure upward on the value of Zen. And thirdly, if the worldwide inflation with fiat continues to occur, that will make Zen also have more value just in the dollar terms, just from that fact alone. So there's just way too many variables to understand what exactly what will happen. But likely the just because Zen has very predefined time value of how long it's inflationary and eventually becomes disinflationary. Likely that the value is just in the size of the community and obviously in all the things that are built for Zen. So that's kind of like the way I see it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, Jack, I got another question here. It's all right. So, do you see a situation? So, I've been thinking about the rare NFTs, okay, and just checking Uniswap. Do you see a situation playing out where? Okay, so let's just say I have to burn 1 billion Zen tokens in order for me to get one of these rare NFTs. So, right now that's like $9,000, and so plus I'd have to pay for the gas fee, which is going to be anywhere from several hundred to $1,000 for the amount of VMUs. That's $10,000+ equivalent of compared to USDT for me to be able to mint. Now, do you see a situation playing out if somebody, God forsaken, is going to do that? Obviously, it's going to pump the price of Zen up, but then you have all of the mentors who are going to be, sucking their chops, per se, and most likely they'll sell, and so therefore the value that you went to the bank and converted your change over to that NFT, decreased in value because you spent all of that money on burning, and then now the value has gone down. Do you see that happening? And then, of course, you have your tokens that you'll be able to claim in the future, but in the short term, I could see a situation where some people could get burned. I don't know. Just thinking here.
So what experience tells us about the NFTs is that the gas wars can get out of control. And originally, we thought about having a disconnected function, or basically some others NFTs that are not connected to the bulk mint. Just because we want it to be a clear difference in functionality. But what
you, Dad? You're lagging. I can hear you fine.
Yeah. If you guys can hear me, just let me know. Yeah. So what I was thinking is that the requirement to burn a lot of Zen for the rare NFTs actually creates less. It creates more of a barrier to entry, because if there was no barrier to entry, like let's just say that an NFT was just rare and collectible, and all you need to do is pay gas, that could drive the gas prices really high, and we really didn't want to have that to occur. And so implementing Zen burn on top of the gas burn, which gas also burns with the London EIP change to Ethereum, obviously, that kind of equalizes the desire to grab it. Like imagine needing to burn 1 billion Zen. So as you mentioned, it's like $9,000, maybe $10,000. Now it's not everybody has that kind of money that will be jumping into it. So we expect gas wars not to be so dramatic just because of that fact. So that's the thinking behind it.
What will happen if we burn too much gas? What will happen with Ethereum supply?
the universe will explode as we know it. That's what will happen.
I had one quick follow up. I could see a situation playing where that might encourage people to hold instead of not sell, which would also be a good thing because, yeah, I don't know. There's so many different angles to think about here, but the fact of having to acquire 1 billion tokens to get one of those NFTs is tempting, but also at the same time, it's like, so yeah, I could see many different situations playing out, and I love it. I really do. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Aulov, I'll take your question next. Obviously, we wanted the game mechanics to be very interesting, and we wanted to have competing elements that will not necessarily just drive the gas so high. Like we wanted people to, let's say that you don't care about the NFTs at all. You're not participating in the NFT offering in any way, but because you're holding Zen and Zen is going up in value because it's actually getting bought up and burned, you're kind of participating in the whole game too, even though you're not minting NFTs. So that makes the game, so to speak, more balanced for everyone out there that's holding Zen. So that's really good. So what happens to Ethereum when everything gets burned? I don't think we can burn a lot of Ethereum. I mean, certainly we already made a huge dent. I mean, you can see on ultrasound.money website, we started the burn, the major burn. So we made Ethereum deflationary from October 8th onward, and is now Ethereum is currently under the balance that they have had before the merge. I think it's like negative 5,000 ETH, which is amazing. Likely this should continue, and that will make Ethereum holders very, very happy, because any sort of reduction of the supply makes Ethereum better than Bitcoin. Because if you think about it, Bitcoin is limited to 21 million. Even though Ethereum was unlimited before, well, now it's disappearing. So it's better than Bitcoin because it has more application layers to be, and more smart contracts and more DeFi protocols and all kinds of games being created. And at the same time, it's disappearing from the supply level. So that makes it much better than Bitcoin, the way that I see it. I mean, of course, there's questions about centralization and all kinds of, potential censoring, this and that. So that's something that people should watch out for too.
I think something that, there's so much game theory going into this, and I think there's also a risk involved with it. What you have to be sort of careful with is that if you issue as NFT with, let's say, 100 VMUs, you're incentivized to choose as long maturity days as possible, but you are going to have to, at maturity date, gonna claim that mint and pay for all those 100 encapsulated C rank, so to speak. So the longer in the future you go, the more increases the uncertainty of the future gas price. So there might be a situation where the gas prices are super high in the future. We don't know this. So you might not be able to afford that. Now, you can do two things, basically, to mitigate that risk. Either, instead of doing one NFT with 100 VMUs, you could do two with 50 on each and sort of leverage that risk a little bit. You could also sell the NFT before your upcoming market if you can't afford becoming maturity claim. However, if the gas prices are very high 400 days in the future, then the value of that NFT might be lower. So it's not like obvious from a game theoretical perspective how you should. It totally depends on you and the risk you want to take on that.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking that if we burn all that gas, then the price of Ethereum will go up, and it will become kind of like a commodity, like gold. It already is with all those apps on the blockchain.
We don't know how fast the underlying L1s can scale, right? So it's an uncertainty.
Well, I think we want Ethereum to be bullish. Obviously, we want Ethereum to move up in price because it makes everything else go up in price, and it actually attracts more people to the ecosystem. So that's ultimately is the goal. We want the ecosystem to be very very useful, and we want developers to come in. We want the consumers to come in. We want the whole space to be larger and more interesting. So making Ethereum expensive again, so to speak, or back to $5,000 per ether, actually is a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing for everybody who invests, and it's also a good thing for everybody who will be developing in the future. All right, more questions, guys. More questions.
I have another question. So there is this on testnet. There is this redeemable that is not visible on the OpenSea market, and how the users can view it before they buy an NFT that is already redeemed.
The redeemed stamp will be placed on the NFT, the one that has redeemed its future mint. So people should be able to not only look at the date to see where the maturity date is for the future mint, but also there will be a rectangle that looks like a stamp that will say redeemed on the NFT too.
Hello. Hi, guys. Just one basic question regarding this integration. You have the plan to integrate the SEN in or on Elrond blockchain? That's it.
We plan to be on every blockchain. The next blockchain we're going to is OKX.
Thanks, Jack.
All right. So let's do some crazy AMA things. Like AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. So feel free uh, to just ask anything of myself, of the team, anything you guys want.
Hi, Jack. Great project. I'm just wondering, is there any plans to build a dApp for like iPhone users and stuff? So I know the long-term goal is that all the people. I don't know, but I was watching so many of your interviews and stuff. People wanting to get into Zen. The long term is to bring like non-crypto holders into crypto space. So to do that. Not everyone's going to be like very inclined or tech savvy to set up a MetaMask, buy gas, and do this and that. In order to make this like one of the, I don't know if it's ever going to be like what Bitcoin is or like a reserve currency, but just so when everyone can trade, will there be like a dApp on for user phones and stuff like where you can just click and mint and you can stake and you can claim and you can like exchange send to each other?
Well, we obviously want that, and uh, we will be supporting any teams out there that are developing something interesting. So it is my dream to have Zen to be in every wallet possible, and to have the best partners out there who are building on top of the Zen ecosystem. And when I say Zen's ecosystem, like imagine Zen being in the hands of 300 million people or 500 million people. That's a lot of people, and so we hope that just like with Doge, like Elon loves Doge because he thinks it's people's crypto. Well, I think Doge is kind of hard to get, except you have to buy it. You can certainly mint it, but you have to be like, a computer scientist to start the mint process, or I mean, the mining process. With Zen, we have simplified the barrier to entry into crypto and actually making crypto available for everybody. So I'm hoping that there will be a lot of geniuses out there who will come up with some amazing applications that will use Zen. And so we will certainly be supporting, and from the marketing perspective, anyone out there who will make our ecosystem stronger and therefore create more value.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What do you like doing in your free time?
Sleeping.
Hi, Jack. Nice project. And I recently noticed more and more batch mint tools coming out. And especially, like, I think a lot of people are using corn tools. I know, of course, when people use it, they are on their own risk. But if there are anything wrong with the tool, it's going to hurt the community. So I'm wondering, you or any members of the team have ever took a look at their contract to make sure that it's fine? Thanks.
Yes, good question. So the developer from CoinTools did reach out to me. We did have a conversation, and I expressed my concerns that since it's not an official Zen app, that there could be a situation where they may get hacked. And so he walked me through the code, and the code actually looks immutable. It looks like there's no way that the smart contract portion can be manipulated in any way. The only problem with the CoinTools DApp at this point is that their website may go down. So I did mention it to them, and what they have said is that they actually have linked an instruction manual on how to claim your future mint should the web page not be available, and you can do it from um, Etherscan. So you guys should really look at what they have said and how the guide works. I did test it myself. It looks like it is possible to mint Zen even if the web page is not available. So that part is going to be working just fine. But at the same time, you have to be careful because it actually may not even be their fault, and they may be hacked, and that web page may be replaced by some other web page. And then you'll be thinking you're interacting with the coin tools, but you will end up sending your money somewhere else. So always be very, very careful. Double check that it's the same contract that is being used. Yeah, and I think with ZenFTs, it's going to become a non-issue because, well, at least there will be an official option to do bulk mint.
One more question. I wanted to ask if for the existing holders of Zen, is there any mechanism that we can turn our existing mints into NFT? Like, for example, I don't know, I have 50 million Zen, which I minted, and I want to turn it into NFT. Is there any way for me to do that?
Well, with the new ZenFTs launch, you will be able to do it. Like, for example, you can say Zen mint 1 VMU and or 100 VMUs, whatever you choose, and then you can choose to burn your Zen. I mean, but ultimately, I feel like if we're successful on OpenSea, and OpenSea actually takes Zen as currency, then you should be able to convert Zen back and forth between existing NFTs, even without needing to mint those NFTs. So you should be able to trade your Zen for the available NFTs or any NFTs out there.
But there's no way to. I think the question was to convert the ongoing claims into as NFT. That's not possible.
It doesn't have to be ongoing. It could be ongoing, but also those that you already minted and now you're either staking or doing something of that sort. But it would be a good way of kind of locking them in an NFT because they, that one NFT would encompass the entire.
I think that person has disappeared.
Claire, Prisma, you have a question?
Yes, this is unrelated to Zen, but Jack, hi Jack. I'm curious what your favorite loose leaf tea is to drink.
I like the Thai dragon tea. It's like a bud of flower that they drop into hot water, and it opens up as if it's blooming when you drink it. So I really like that one.
Thank you.
That's great. Beyond. Welcome.
Hi guys. Hi Jack. My question is there any plans or for all this Zen in all these blockchains to be paired in the future? How will they be interacted with each other? And my second question is, if you heard about the space yesterday by Richard, do you have anything to say about what he was complaining about? He was furious about you and your project.
The first question on the interchain compatibility, this is all about multi-chain swaps. So there's a Stargate team that is working on it. And obviously this is beyond the scope of Zen. What we're trying to do with Zen is to bring more users to the blockchains. In terms of the underlying swaps, I think there's people smarter than us working on it, and that problem and requirement exists regardless whether Zen exists. And we will of course be very compatible with anything that they come up with. In case of Richard's conversation or whatever there was yesterday, I heard that happened. I just not quite certain exactly what he mentioned. Do you mind maybe bringing up the questions that were raised so that we can answer them?
One of the complaints he was mentioning was by launching Zen on Ethereum, it made everybody's fee go higher, and the coin is like 10,000x negative, and there is no feature for it, all those kind of things.
So that is a common complaint. I'm kind of surprised why he's bringing it up if that's exactly what he said. If you look at the gas prices, last night we were at 9 Gwei. That's not expensive. The Uniswap trades were just a couple of bucks. Zen Mint was $2.80. So I would say anytime a popular project launches, it will drive the gas fees. Certainly, it could have shocked some people how much interest Zen has gathered, even though it's supposedly supposed to be free. But certainly, the gas has spiked, and it's been elevated for a little bit, but then eventually it just dropped down. The fiasco with FTX also spiked the gas to about 620 Gwei. So nobody's complaining about FTX because, well, I mean, people are complaining about FTX, but their effect on gas is just a feature of Ethereum. So anything that's causes Ethereum to get busy will spike the gas price. I don't think Zen is responsible for elevated gas prices because we see low gas prices pretty much every weekend. And obviously, during the week, gas prices go much higher just because there are other protocols that are being used. There's OpenSea, there's Uniswap. There is just the transfer of Ethereum also burns a lot of gas and creates pressure on gas prices too. So it's nothing unusual. In terms of 10,000x going down or something like that, or looking at the chart, I don't think we should be looking at the chart right now because Zen is free. It should be like really not traded. I mean, I'm not gonna say that Zen has no value. It definitely does have value because the value is the community. But when Zen first came out and the first two people minted Zen, like imagine it's yourself and myself minting Zen for the first time ever. It's the second day of the launch. Now you have some Zen and I want to buy some Zen from you. And you offer me to buy Zen at $1 or $1.50. I think that was actually the quote. And I'll buy it. So okay, so you sold me $100 worth of Zen for $1.50. Now that's a data point. Now Zen is trading at 4 zeros and 1. Did it really go down from $1.50, 10,000x? Does it really matter? The liquidity isn't there. So the numbers that we're seeing on the chart are all over the place. So there's like really no point talking about 10,000x in one direction or the other because there is no established price yet. It hasn't really been discovered. The true price discovery probably will happen in 4 to 6 years. At this point, this is just kind of like a game. If you're buying Zen on an exchange and you're not looking into what exactly you're buying, well, it's unfortunate, but it's nobody's fault that you're doing it. I mean, people have to do their research. I mean, if you end up selling Zen for $10 a pop, that's your right. And then the next day it crashes and it sells for 4 zeros and one. What does it tell you about the action? It just means that things are volatile. Well, things are volatile on the crypto market. I would say 1 month judgment on the chart and saying that something went 10,000x one way or the other. The question really needs to be asked when and from what point. So if this was the first trade at $1.50, I mean, of course it looks kind of bad, but it's only two people trading $500, so it doesn't really make sense to me as a valid argument.
I think to add to that, because I think one of his concerns was also that it would be sort of unwise to create protocols that sort of spams the network, as you would put it. Zen tried to solve the adoption problem. We built in something that Bitcoin couldn't or didn't. We applied the first principles in the protocol and then added virality to it. And you've seen how fast it can spread in a very decentralized fashion as well. There's incentives built into the formula to spread the word of Zen. You're incentivized to tell people about Zen. I think a question there is, should we as makers of a protocol adjust those innovations based on the underlying L1's ability to scale? All the L1s, they're trying to scale. So if we build protocols, should we adjust our innovations right now based on their progress in doing so or not? We are seeing with Zen how the different networks are being able to sustain the load that Zen has on them, and chains handle that different. But it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zensu, you answered it really nicely. To one person, this is spam because they just don't see the value in the people, right? So, like, we personally did not spam the network. We just made something that's very, very popular, and the tenets of or driving adoption to crypto seem to be working, just because of the number of wallets being created and the number of people are coming to the web page. We see all of it, and I think the value is really in the people, not in the load of the network. And of course, the load of the network right now, the load is minimal, so there's nothing to be complained about. So I can't say it's spammy because it's self-attenuating. Like, specifically, again, let's go back to the FTX 3 days ago when the gas price went sky high. No one was minting Zen because people know that they can mint Zen much cheaper. So the network load attenuates the desire to mint Zen, and it actually makes Zen more rare, which drives the value higher. So it's working exactly as intended. It's not spammy. If anything, it brings more people to crypto world faster, and it brings more users to Zen, which is amazing. I'm very, very, at awe and very thankful that it happened. So I hoped it would happen, and it's definitely happening in front of our eyes. And just the people's reaction to the first principles, I think, is something a sight to be seen. So I'm very excited about the future.
Okay, we're getting a lot of questions here. So, Iceman, you want to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I also just wanted to add, I mean, it was much more than that. He was savage. He called it a scam, and he called it proof of bot also, in addition to proof of spam. So I mean, it's just kind of savage. But my question really more pertained to, you mentioned currency and OpenSea. Are there plans for OpenSea to accept Zen as a currency or a form of payment? And to piggyback off what somebody said earlier, Doge, for instance, has a wallet. Are there any plans for a Zen wallet to display the NFT and hold the Zen token? Thanks.
So we're working with various wallet creators to see if we can get Zen in front of more people, just because it's so affordable or approachable rather. Like, for example, if you load a wallet and you can push one button to mint your Zen, that would be an amazing tech to have, and it will definitely get more people into Zen and into crypto, because they wouldn't need to buy or swap their dollars for anything. They just pay a little bit of gas and start their mint. So it would be a good lesson in getting Zen into their hands. In terms of OpenSea taking Zen as currency, we haven't spoken with them, so we actually don't know what the process is. I think if we become very popular with our NFTs on OpenSea, then I think there is a possibility. And lastly, about Richard being savage. I mean, well, he's kind of like he plays a savage on TV, so to speak, or at least on Twitter. So there's nothing unusual about that. We all have our roles to play, and somebody being savage like that is kind of cool. I think it's interesting. So I mean, what can I say? I don't certainly take anything he says personally, because you know I am in my Zen space pretty much all the time. So it helps.
Crypto Rex, you have a question?
Yeah, it was hey, well, how you guys doing? It was basically pertaining to like I think somebody had commented earlier if we could somehow, let's say like I like photography and I create like a photography NFT. Could I encapsulate Zen, to actually like hold somewhat of a value? I think that's what the other person was asking. I don't remember if the answer was said or not.
Well, I think we want Zen to be universal cryptocurrency. I would say, like, I wouldn't call it the reserve cryptocurrency, because reserve kind of makes you feel like this is an exclusive club, like, so to speak. We just want Zen to be universal in the sense that it is so available for anybody to use for whatever they like. So anybody who comes up with any sort of protocols that makes Zen more valuable, or makes their NFTs or anything that they do more valuable with Zen. I think the way to think about it psychologically, that if you're taking Zen as currency, you're actually tapping into the largest market of users out there, just because Zen is so easy uh, to get into the people's hands. So it's definitely would be very attractive for any builders out there. So that's how I would be thinking if I was a builder.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jack, and keep it up, man. You're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tars Case, you have a question? Logan.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, sweet. Since you used to be an ex-Google employee, what was the interesting experience back at Google when you were working there?
An interesting experience working at Google. I would say it's really the people, like specifically the founders. So I have interacted with Sergey and Larry Page throughout the years, many times. And one of the most interesting conversations that I have had with them, specifically with Larry, is that he often would say that hardest problems are easiest to solve because no one dares to solve them. And that really kind of became a very memorable quote for me. So I think with Zen, we're really trying to solve the hardest problem the crypto is having, which is the onboarding of the world. Crypto is only used by about 4% of people on the planet, and we're trying to do it in the most gentle way possible by not taking people's money and really following the first principles as described by Satoshi in his Bitcoin white paper. And so that is, I would say, was the probably the most important conversation. And I actually see this very similar philosophy with Elon Musk, which I deeply respect as a creator and inventor. Elon Musk went after the most difficult challenges. He went into space, and his answer on why did he go into space? Well, he said, "Well, no, nobody's going into space, so may as well be me. He'll do space." So that's awesome. I think more people should be like that. And at the same time, he changed the world in terms of the electric cars being not only usable but also affordable enough, and the whole industry is now building electric cars just thanks to his daring approach. And both of those problems, space and cars, is very very difficult problems to solve. I mean, you can almost impossible to figure out, and yet he sets the bar higher for all of us to be amazing creators and amazing inventors. So just like Larry Page was with Google, and so is Elon Musk. So I would say that's how I'm thinking in terms of how people should be. We should aim higher. We should aim higher, definitely not lower.
Yeah, it always seems that people would always judge the surface levels of ideas, but clearly they don't know the actual reality behind it.
Latin America, you have a question?
Yes, Senzu and Jack, thank you for allowing me to speak. I would just like to congratulate the team for all the beautiful things you're doing for the community, and especially you, Jack, for your humility, because I think that's one of the qualities that I see in you that makes you great, and especially this project. I am against tribalism, and I see that it can really wreck a community or a project. I'm so glad to see that your nature is not combative, and that you take criticism with stride. I would be careful interacting with that gentleman that they were referring to, that savaged your Zen in your project. Last week on the Trayvon's show, he played a recording where the U.S. Government authorities are actually looking to question that individual, and the FBI, is my understanding, that is a criminal investigative part of the U.S. government. So I would suggest limiting any sort of contact with such a person that may be under criminal investigation. It cannot bring anything good. But that aside, thank you for doing all the wonderful things that you guys have done. Everybody's asking you questions. I want to know what we can do as a community to help get the message out about Zen. What can we do besides creating apps, providing liquidity, other things that we can do to stay positive and win friends and influence people to get mass adoption going in crypto? Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words. Well, I think to answer that question, I would say we definitely should talk to more people about what blockchain is, what self custody is, what the first principles are. None of it was my invention. It was all basically Satoshi in 2008, 2009 timeframe. They came up with something that gives back to the community, empowers an individual. So we should all I would say collectively be empowered to spread that message, especially in light of fiascos like FTX and various other things to come. Because I think FTX is not the last one to to keel over, like so to speak. And we should just talk about the things that the blockchain has been created to solve, and naturally that would lead to Zen, and Zen de facto becomes the glue that binds the community together. So it's very easy to talk about Zen because it's obviously not a scam. Our team does not have Zen. It's transparent. It's on chain. The consensus of the blockchain indicates everything that we say is true. And so it's very easy to tell people about it and not feel like you're stealing their money one way or the other. So I certainly feel very good about talking to all of my friends about Zen and what Zen stands for, because it gives back to the little guy, like, so to speak. That's what crypto was created, is to empower an individual. So I think the first principles is what we should be talking about nonstop in the crypto world, and try to bring more people uh, with the right foot forward, like, so to speak. So not necessarily tell people, hey, send all of your money to Coinbase or the crypto exchange du jour, because that's you're gonna be making mad gains. I think it's about patience. I think it's about understanding what blockchain is bringing to the world. It's about understanding technology, understanding how to secure your passwords, what is a seed phrase, what is MetaMask, all of those things. So I think all of those things are connected, and it's just going to make the world better. And I'm just happy to play a small part in it. And obviously, I'm just one person, but it is the power of the community that will move us forward.
Well said. Thank you very much, sir.
I just want to add a few things to that. Like, we really want to solve this adoption problem. We are makers, we're not talkers, and we will just continue to innovate. We will wake up every day and continue to innovate together with the community, as a community, as Xenians. And we want an inclusive community. We want to invite everyone, because we need to do that if we're going to solve the adoption problem. We want to break down the unnecessary barriers between chains so we can do this together, because we all know that we can do it. It's ridiculous at one point. We know we can do this. We just have to do it together. So everything around that, it's just noise, really. And another important distinction here is, usually in crypto projects, you have a team that's developing, and then you have a community that's just waiting for the team to deliver. And I guess everyone can see that we are delivering, and things are happening, and they're doing so fast. It's because we love it, and we're really aligned with this mission because we believe in it so much. But it's also completely open source, and we want to provide a platform for the community to spur their creativity, so they can come in and start creating on their own. So we love all of these projects that are just spurring everywhere right now. And if you see something that's lacking, because you asked what can we do? If you see something that's lacking, you can just align your life with Zen and provide that. And what's needed is to get the word of Zen out to everybody. And everything that's aligned with the first principles of crypto and education and adoption is something that's going to be needed. And on that, if you make something good, it's sort of a self-cleansing system. If you make something that's really good, Xenians are going to talk about it. They're going to use it. They're going to scrutinize it, but they're going to use it. So whatever value you provide, you have a community that will use that for the good of the mission of Zen.
100%. It's almost been 2 hours. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 more questions before we close this down. And of course, there will be more spaces and more interviews. So it's not the last time we're doing it. We just want to be mindful about people's attention and needing to get on with their weekend.
Sure. Let's bring up some guys maybe hasn't had a chance to ask something. Arne, do you have a question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good day. I was wondering with the XENTFs, if you guys you probably don't have a creator's fee, or if there's going to be a total volume. So if you look at most NFTs on OpenSea, you'll see that there is a total volume, and the creator gets a pot of money, and I don't think it's part of the Jack's protocol. So I was wondering if that's going to be there or nothing's going to be there.
So we're still debating whether we're going to take any royalties for the NFTs. We might take something simply because all of our contracts are audited, and we're paying tens of thousands of dollars to the auditors to get the code looked at to make sure it's solid. So it's not going to be obviously the primary source of income for the team, because we kind of wanted to stay in this very non-profit creative type of mode. But we may put a fee out there just so that we can still eat in the morning and buy a cup of coffee and pay the auditors so that they can audit and make our code safer for everyone out there.
That sounds fair. I think you maybe make it transparent, because you're saying it right now, so that's transparent. I don't know if the question was asked before, but yeah, sure, you guys need to buy each other cups of coffee and wake up not so grumpy in the morning. Thanks for the answer.
I have a question. Is there any chance that Zen could be considered a security?
So there's two answers. The one answer is no way, it cannot be a security. But the second answer is that I am not a securities expert, therefore I cannot really claim that to be the case one way or the other. Now, what we do know is that security is usually equivalent to a share of a company that is closely held by a team that promises a bunch of development with those shares. Unfortunately, a lot of crypto projects follow exactly the same model, where they issue a lot of tokens, they raise money from investors, they have a giant allocation for themselves that will eventually sell onto the market. That makes their token a security. In the case of Zen, our team never had Zen before we released the open source code as a smart contract on chain. Therefore, the creation of Zen was all due to the community participation. So in no way that Zen can be a security, because there's nobody guaranteeing any sort of work to create more Zen or to give Zen more value. We're kind of all in this together. We are together as a community. I am part of it. I am minting some Zen for myself, but I never had a chance to mint more Zen before the project launched. So that disqualifies it as a security. It makes it more of a commodity that, or even you could say it's just points on in the game of blockchain, if you will. So we never actually had any sort of way to give it more value besides talking about it and creating more things on top of it. Now, if we're building an amazing spaceship that takes us to a different galaxy and it's powered by Zen, and that makes Zen more valuable, that doesn't necessarily make Zen security. It just makes Zen the fuel for the future projects, similarly to how the minerals of the earth, oil or gas or gold, is something that can be used to build bigger things, which are altogether are classified as commodities and not securities.
Okay, good to hear. And then one last quick question: is there any websites out there, or any tools to track all your addresses, or your minted addresses, or addresses that you minted from, that you were aware of?
So CryptoCell, guys, that team actually makes some sort of a tracker. We also have a portfolio page where you can dump a bunch of addresses and track to see when exactly your Zen is due. So there's fewer options out there, and there's more being built. Yeah, I mean, I personally, what I do, I just put stuff in Excel. That's how I do it. It just makes me more comfortable, or it's easier for me to work with it. And when I say Excel, I really mean uh, Google spreadsheets. So
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. How many more questions do you want to take, Jack?
well, we have about 5 minutes before the 2-hour mark. So come on, guys, come up with some crazy questions. I wanna answer something juicy.
Okay. I can ask a question. Hello, can you hear me? Go ahead. Hello. Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead with the question.
Jack, I've been listening for 2 hours now. 1 year from now, what do you think will be a real IRL or in real life use case of Zen? What do you think the use case of Yen will be in 1 year? Now, you can answer and say that it's up to the community to decide, it's up to the people who build on Zen. But what is your vision after a year in terms of the use cases? Thank you.
So my vision is a giant directory of describing the Zen's ecosystem, from the DeFi protocols to games to NFTs. People joining together, developing something very, very interesting, and giving Zen more value and bringing more people to crypto. And we'll certainly be very supportive and try to be very outspoken about it, try to come up with the tools to bring more of the developers together. Maybe we'll have some sort of a conference or a meetup in the future. So that's how I see this next year to occur. So ultimately it's the outreach towards not just to the end users, explaining first principles of crypto, but also to the builders, because we want existing builders and new builders come to the space and build together with us on top of Zen. So that's how I envision next 12 months.
And would you incentivize those guys by providing Zen as grants or something like that? Thanks.
So we may come up with maybe like an Ethereum address, Zen's foundation that actually collects donations from people out there who are minting Zen. It is also a possibility that when you claim your Zen, there will be an option to donate a percentage, 1%, 2%, 5% of your newly minted Zen to the development of the space. If people are willing, and I think a lot of people would be interested in contributing to the space, we should be able to create this sort of a treasury wallet that will be able to give grants to the developers that are building in the ecosystem.
Sir, count me in. I would love to do that because I think there is so much options here in terms of especially gaming and also in terms of DeFi. And with the FTS fiasco, I think DeFi is going to thrive. So yeah, please implement that. I will be happily donating as much as I can. And yeah, grants will be lovely, and it will be really good advertisement as well, because one way I am heavy into Cosmos ecosystem, Jack. So I love. I'm not a Cosmos maxi. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a profit maxi. So Cosmos for the moment is absolutely amazing. There's a new project FMOS. They have these grants and stuff to attract games, to attract NFT projects built on them. So yeah, it will be lovely. Do you have any integrations into Cosmos, by the way?
Yeah, EVMOS. Yeah, EVMOS is the EVM compatible Cosmos chain.
Yes. Actually, shit, I forgot. I actually minted on EVMOS as well. Apologies. No, but the question still stands in terms of grants and incentives. I think it would be good. Thanks.
Yeah, great idea. We're definitely going to be working on something like that. Okay, a few more questions, guys.
Let's do Joseph and Zizi here.
Hi, just a quick question. When is the ZenFT Batch Mentor coming out?
it's coming out together with these NFTs we're talking about. So the ability to batch mint and to burn Zen will be part of the same project. So that's coming out in I would say 3 to 4 weeks, based on the auditor's schedule and how quickly they can audit our code. The code is pretty much done. We just need to give it to the auditors and have the audit completed.
Thank you, Jack. You're the best.
Thank you.
Zizi.
Hello, hey guys. Thanks for accepting my request. My question for you, Jack, is I saw you make a tweet about how Zen is possibly like the butterfly effect for FTX or this whole SBF drama. I was wondering if that was just a shit post, and if not, can you please elaborate? Thank you.
Yes. So shitpost. I try to avoid shitposts because I just don't like them. But the question on the FTX and the butterfly effect and Zen. So when Zen launched, within a week, the news came out that that Zen's got hacked by somebody getting free gas from FTX. What we discovered later, that the FTT token stakers were getting free gas from FTX, and they were paying for gas to mint Zen. Now, that in itself is not illegal in any way. And if FTX is using their marketing dollars to pay for gas for someone else by selling them FTT tokens, it's a completely legit way to attract more customers to the FTX platform. Now, the butterfly effect in question was that perhaps that sort of what people thought was a hack brought more scrutiny to the FTT's tokens operation and use, that eventually caused the chain reaction and the leak of a paper that describes that most of the FTT tokens are actually held by the FTX and probably not worth the billions of dollars that they're claiming them to be worth. So that may be the case. We may be somewhat involved in it just because we brought more eyes on FTX. Who knows? But certainly it's a possibility. So that's the way I think about it.
Thank you so much, Jack, for answering my question. Very interesting project, and I'm here to stay. Thank you for taking my question.
Great. Thanks for asking. Okay, guys. Well, it's been almost 2 hours. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been very lively conversation on Twitter Spaces. I'm sorry for any sort of clicking sounds that my guys were reporting the microphone have had. I do have everything recorded on YouTube, so you should be able to replay everything back that we talked about. I'm hoping the quality is good, but anyhow, we probably will do more spaces next week. So please like and subscribe the YouTube video. Follow me on Twitter. Ask me any questions over the DM if you want, and obviously join our Telegram group. Thank you very much. Great to have you, and thanks Zenzu for staying up late and working with us on getting all those people talking to us. Thank you. All right.
No problem. I'm willingly doing it every night. It's such a great community. I just want to add, guys, go into the Telegram, and the ZenFT light paper #1, Centaur Protocol, is published. Read it, give feedback. You still have time to give feedback before we go into audit. It's very exciting. This addition to Zen as a project is gonna bring a lot. So very exciting times. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jack.
Awesome. Thanks, Zensu. Let's talk again soon, and I'll see you guys on Telegram and anywhere else on Twitter too. Bye bye.